everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Slimming Surgeon podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Kandace Kichler. Today we have a very interesting guest, Gabriela Chang. She is a feminine embodiment coach, and I am going to let her tell you what that is, but she's also a dating and relationship advice coach. So we're going to go through all the things related to being feminine, dating, relationships, and maybe what you're doing wrong. Gabriela, so nice to have you.
Thank you, Kandace. It's so nice to be here, and I love everything that you're doing as well in the world.
Thank you. It's a journey, and this podcast is like my baby. So I'm happy to have you here to talk about all the things that you do.
I'm so happy to be here and to be able to experience this baby with you.
At least it was like a happy delivery, right?
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah. No traumatic births here.
Just growing pains.
Right, exactly. Okay, so go ahead and tell our audience, what exactly is a feminine embodiment coach? Because I know when I first met you, you told me that, and I was like, okay, I have no idea what that is, but I like it. And then once I saw your content on social media and on your website, I know what it means, but try to tell our audience.
Yes, it's something new that a lot of people are still getting to understand. Feminine embodiment is actually coming back to our body, to our senses, to reconnect to what it means to be a woman. You know, for centuries, we have learned as women what it means to be a woman from the man's perspective or the masculine perspective. And now we are trying to figure out what that means, but we're making some mistakes in the process. You know, we're fighting, we're still doing, we're still seeing women from men's perspective. Mm-hmm. A lot of women think that femininity is wearing high heels and putting on your makeup and wearing the dresses. Well, so then we have other women who fight that, right? They don't want to dress like that. They want to be more like tomboys.
Right, and go the total opposite end of the spectrum.
Exactly, and I was like that when I was a teenager, you know? So what exactly means to be feminine and to be a woman in this world, you know? To define that, we first need to understand and learn that through our own intuition, through our own bodies. Mm-hmm. So feminine embodiment is actually connecting to your body and listening to what your body is trying to tell you. Because our bodies have wisdom within. You know, when you sit in meditation, or maybe you do yoga and you just breathe in deeply, you suddenly start having all these ideas, and you suddenly start feeling better, breathe better, you know. So feminine embodiment is about that.
Okay.
Can I connect to my intuition when something is triggering me? When something is bothering me, when I'm going to give a presentation to an audience, can I connect to my body and get out of my head, right?
I feel like these are so important skills and something that is definitely not taught in school.
Definitely not, and that's one of my missions. Hopefully I'll get to do some of that. But if not, my goal is to teach more women what it means to be a feminine embodiment of a woman. Mm-hmm. Instead, we are more and more adopting male qualities, and then we're fighting men for those qualities. So we are in competition with men all of the time. You know,
I feel like it's a vicious cycle.
It is.
You know, like we are taught to be these like strong, independent, you know, I don't need anybody type of personalities. I mean, I'm like probably the poster child for that. You know, I'm a surgeon and I try to do literally everything. But what you're saying is that, you know, we should embrace our natural kind of space in the world and in the universe and maybe do a little bit less sometimes, or what do you think?
Do a lot less, like a lot.
I need to quit my job.
If you can. I mean, I did. But, you know, if you have passion for what you do, you can do whatever you want as a woman. Mm-hmm. We have that power. Men have the power. It's not like we are superior to men, and it's not like men are superior to us, you know?
Right.
We are equally important to society. And this idea of feeling superior and always wanting to be right is wrong. Mm-hmm. Because then we complain that men are emotionally unavailable.
Sure.
We complain that men ghost, Now we're going into dating.
Oh, yeah. We'll talk about ghosting for sure.
We complain that men ignore us, but then we don't realize that what they are telling us is okay to go and pursue a man. It's okay to go and chase a man and try to impress a man. We're doing it from a place of unworthiness.
And like scarcity.
Scarcity, exactly. Because what if he doesn't love me? What if he doesn't like me? What if he doesn't choose me? Right? It's always in our heads. And as women, we crave to be chosen.
Yeah.
Right?
It's like a natural instinct.
It is totally natural, but it is a feminine natural instinct. But then we haven't learned what is men's natural instinct, right? What is theirs? So we actually treat men like if they are misbehaving women.
That's the key, or that's what we do?
That's what we do. And then
I
don't understand why he's doing these things. I don't understand so many things, but we haven't sat down with our feelings of unworthiness, of scarcity, of loneliness. What does it mean to experience that? And do I need an explanation for all of these things, right? So that is when we get in our heads and disconnect from our bodies.
So how do you help people through, like, how do you coach them to kind of see these things? Like, what is your methodology?
First, when I am with a client, I ask them to close their eyes.
Okay.
And then I start asking them questions.
Okay.
I don't start lecturing them like male teachers, which is what we have abundantly in the world. The spiritual teachers, the leaders of the world are males. And that's totally fine as long as we women can embrace the way of being the feminine.
Okay.
So for me, the feminine way of guiding you and helping you is different from men, because I will start asking you the questions and I will ask you to close your eyes.
Okay.
Because when we have our eyes open, if you notice, we start looking around everywhere, and that's because
Totally.
we're accessing different parts of our brain. Instead, if we close our eyes, we drop from the brain to the heart, to our intuition, to our wombs.
Okay.
And then we can start getting answers. Of course, some women have a harder time with this more than others. So there are some practices that we need to do, which is part of the embodiment, which is like dancing, letting go of yourself, dress up however way you want. Some women get naked and then they dance in front of the mirror.
Yeah.
The mirror technique is immensely healing for women, to look into their bodies and admire them and love them just the way they are, instead of depending on men to telling them, oh, you look beautiful. Well, of course, compliments are amazing. It feels good.
Sure.
But if we cannot give those compliments to ourselves and feel good enough with what we have, then we have a major problem.
So it sounds like a lot of what you kind of bring people back to is self-confidence.
Yes, a lot of self-confidence, but also understanding men and women's differences and how our biology and how our, the feelings we have as men and women are different. The way we cope with things are different. The way we handle issues and problems and conflict is different. It's not the same for both of us.
So you start by asking people questions and kind of getting them to maybe realize how they are, or, what are some of the ways that you ask them questions, or where do they go with these?
So one of the questions that I always ask first is, if you had a magic wand, what would you do? Close your eyes and tell me.
Yeah.
Right? If they come to me, which the majority do, to be in a relationship, how will it feel to be in that relationship? What does it look like? Just picture it for me like if we are watching a movie, and tell me all the feelings, right? When many dating coaches, they tell you, let's magnetize or let's manifest your relationship. Sure, that works, but then you have to come up with a list. And how does he look like? And his hair color, eye color, maybe skin color, whatever you desire in a man, right? But that list is just masculine, because you're just listing things that you want in someone. Maybe you list their values and qualities and their lifestyle, right? But what if we can come up with another list of just feelings? Because Kandace, what love means to you and what you want for a man is different from what I want for a man.
Sure.
The way you look at your husband, for example, is going to be different to the way I look at my future husband. So what love means to you is different than what it means to me. For me to be loved feels different than what it means for you to be loved. So that's one of the things that we do in my Magnetic Goddess Institute, where I ask women all these questions, and they sometimes start telling the same feeling multiple times. The number one feeling women say is safety.
Yeah.
Right?
For
we
sure.
cannot feel safe with a man who is passive or a man who is in his boy player energy, right? It doesn't feel safe because they don't have that groundiness in them.
Right.
But then we are craving that man to be that. And many women, this is one of the reasons they get ghosted, because many women choose boys, start chasing them, they start mothering them, they start telling them what to do, and they end up marrying potential.
Yeah.
But then the guy is like, I don't want this. She's bossing me around, right? And I just want the best for him because I see so much goodness in him.
Right.
That is wrong, right? Because now you're not seeing him as your equal. You're treating him as your son. So we have to grow out of that energy of the mother archetype. And it is our job to do that. We cannot put it on men.
Right.
To do that for us.
I know, like it's like the saying that you can't change someone unless they're ready to be changed. But you're saying in relationships, it shouldn't be your goal at all to change them. If something needs to be changed, it needs to start with you, perhaps.
Yes, it starts with you. And also you as a woman.
Or maybe you're not compatible at all.
Maybe. Many times you're not, right?
Right.
Because you're leading with fears. And fears is what feels like love many times. Right? So if you can start instead observing as a woman, that's another feminine quality. And then you can start accepting or rejecting.
Yeah.
Right? And you tell a man, that's totally fine. You are the way you are. I accept you and I'll let you be however you are. I will just let you know when you're doing certain things. I'll communicate my feelings from an I feel place. I feel sad when you behave this way. I feel sad that you call me X and Y. I feel sad that we haven't gone on a date in weeks, you know?
Sure.
Stuff like that. Instead of complaining where it sounds more...
Nagging.
Yes. And who likes nagging?
Nobody. My husband hates it.
And you will hate it too, right? If
Of
you start
course.
nagging.
No, of
so
course.
it's not fun to do that. But instead, how can we inspire him to actually do more? And they will do more.
We're looking across the room at Andrew, our producer. He's very intrigued at our convo today. Okay, I love this. This is so interesting. So you help people kind of from the beginning and then into guiding them into getting into relationships.
Yes. So we work on what are the blockages separating them from attracting their ideal partner. Because women ask me all the time, where can I meet men? Anywhere.
Right?
And everywhere. We are sitting right next to one right
Yeah.
now.
Well, he's married, but yeah.
Still a great man.
Right.
Right?
He might have a brother.
He may have a brother. You never know. But they are great men everywhere around. Sure, some are taken, but more of them, we as women, when we are not choosing from a place of security, from a place of groundedness, from a place of worthiness, we end up attracting and choosing those men who are going to get us out of there. So some people say you need to suffer in order to grow. Sometimes that is true, but you don't have to do those things.
Right.
You can actually just sit with a professional like me or another person who can guide you and help you connect to what is it that you want and desire and have that picture for the future. It's like getting on the GPS.
Right. I feel like so many young women, you get trapped into the game playing. You know, it's like, oh, do I text him? Do I call him? Do I message this person? Or do I wait it out? You know, and that is kind of working from that place of unworthiness and playing games, which doesn't get you anywhere.
It doesn't get you anywhere. And also, hearing people say, oh, you can do whatever you want. You're a woman, strong, independent. Go for it. Go call the guy. then we end up calling him 20 times.
Yeah, that doesn't look good either.
No, it doesn't look good because now he feels that she's being clingy, she's being needy. Like, doesn't she have a life? You know, it's wonderful that we as women live in this era where we can create whatever life we want, right? And this is something about the feminine and the masculine qualities. And this is something that I work with a lot with my clients, is understanding the feminine and masculine qualities, or the polarity in relationships. We choose with how much energy we want to lead in our lives. So as a woman, I didn't know all of these concepts. I was leading with 90% masculine energy. And I naturally have more testosterone than normal women, not normal women, than
Other
many
people.
other women. Yeah.
Right.
So naturally, I have to find, for reasons, ways, rituals, or whatever you want to call it, how to nourish my femininity. And that nourishment comes in the form of food, healthy, nourishing, delicious food that you actually enjoy. Not eating because you're trying to stuff down your emotions.
Sure.
Another thing that I can do is go right here. We have the ocean. Go to the ocean and just enjoy yourself. Suck in all of the sun and the ocean into your skin and feel that beautiful energy, right? Something that relaxes you and allows you to be. But we're constantly in that doing that keeps us in our head. So many times, if you're asking all of these questions, should I text him? Should I reach out to him? Should I do this? That is a doing.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's better not to do anything and to let him come to you.
Sure. Right. So when do you feel like, someone should, you help people with like their profiles, like their dating profiles, like when should someone see you, like before they even make one? And like, how do you coach them with how they appear online? I mean, you don't want to be fake. You don't want to create a profile that's not you, but what kind of energy are you putting out in these profiles and in these consultations?
Yeah, the first question I ask is, what is the type of man that you want as a woman? Do you want a man who is passive, a man who wants to play games, or do you want a man who's successful, a man who's grounded, a man who is strong and feels, like he can support you in whatever way, financial, emotional, physical, spiritual? What is the way that you want this man to support you in your life? And then after that, the majority of my clients want a masculine, strong man who will support them. And then I have to explain to them what it means to be with a man like that.
Okay.
Because many times we do want that man, but we don't know how to keep him. So that's when those kind of men, you meet them, but they end up leaving you, ghosting you, or saying, sorry, I didn't feel the connection.
Yeah.
That's because they didn't feel the connection to your heart. Because we women close our hearts when we're thinking, doing business, running numbers, strategy. That gets you out of your heart because it's just the way it is. It's logic, right?
Sure.
So what we need to do is breathing deeply and find that connection to our heart and write a profile from that space. For example, if you like going to the beach, describe what is it like to go to the beach. I love going to the beach and soaking into the ocean and just swimming in the beautiful South Florida waters, for example, right? Or I love to be sun-kissed and just reading a book. It feels nice to me, nourishes me. Using feeling statements and using or describing to someone with emotions will want to connect. And then we'll start just... And a profile
and that
like
would
that
not connect with someone who is maybe not the type that you want.
Actually,
like it would deter others.
No.
Oh,
Feminine energy is magnetic. It's just delicious, right? It's like bee to honey. It's like honey to bees.
Gotcha.
You can't stop that. You will attract a lot of men, unfortunately.
Oh.
So you have to also learn how to filter them out.
I see. Gotcha.
However, the other way.
This is so interesting. I'm glad I'm not dating these days because this seems so complicated. But what you're saying is making a lot of sense, even for me and like my relationship with my husband, like how I speak to him, how I interact with him. Like I find certain days are so much better than others. And it's when I'm kind of embracing that role.
Yeah. And during the month, we also have to embrace the cycles. We have a 4-month season. Men only have 24 hours.
Yeah.
And that is, disheartening for a lot of us women, because when they're going through their winter time, they're ready to go to bed and sleep throughout the night. We women have a whole week. That's when we get our periods.
Right.
So before that is the fall time. So what do? PMSing.
Yeah.
What men do, they just get home from work and they just want to wind out and relax. We don't. We have to go through all these emotions. So that is another issue that we women are facing with the pill when we are avoiding having a period altogether.
Right. I feel like that. I've had another guest, and she told me, I take the pill around the clock so that I have no period ever. Like, is this bad for me? Is this good for me? I mean, intuition wise, I know it's not good for you, of course, but I can't give medical advice like that over the air. But from what you're saying, from kind of like a feminine energy standpoint, not having those cycles is kind of putting a negative connotation on your relationships.
Absolutely. You see how you gave birth to this beautiful podcast. Every month, we women are floated with a lot of ideas. We want to do this, we want to do that, right? But many of those ideas cannot be concrete. We cannot crystallize those ideas for one or another reason, right? So the feminine body, was actually designed to heal the world. So everything that we're not giving birth to, that means that we are discarding.
Yeah.
And that comes in the way of your period.
Yeah.
So through your blood, you are letting go. But if you don't have a period, then you keep all of that store. And there has been a lot of scientific tests or scientific studies where women have gotten off the pill and all of a sudden they have all of these medical issues. Issues they never dealt with because they were masking them with the pill. So the pill can be a good temporary solution.
Sure, right. There's indications.
Yes.
But there are also implications.
Exactly.
And there's also literature now that shows if you're on the pill, you naturally attract someone who may not be a good genetic reproductive candidate for you. Have you read about that?
Yes, I've read about that.
I firmly believe that because I'm telling you, when, maybe it was also just being young and stupid, but I was on the pill for a certain amount of time. And I feel like the people that I dated, not good people to marry and have kids with. This is out of context or whatever, but I think that there's really something to it.
Yes, absolutely. Because then we cannot have that chemical smells that we need.
The pheromones.
The pheromones, absolutely. I see a lot of commercials now for perfumes. Just get off the pill and deal with your issues.
Right.
Give yourself some time, go on a little retreat with yourself and reconnect to your body, cry it all out, move and embrace that darkness. That is the beautiful thing that we women have. The darkness, the feminine darkness is so beautiful and so immense that when we deny that, we have no purpose, we have no goals, really.
Yeah.
We feel unfulfilled, we feel unsafe, and we're constantly fighting for that safety. But if we're able to embrace that darkness and say, today I'm on my dark days, I don't want to deal with anything. And then you have a supporting husband, he'll take over and does everything. And during those days, you just go and relax.
Right.
But we don't have a system like that because this is not something men can do or understand. This is something that we women need to first embrace, understand, accept, and then make the changes in the workplace, in our relationships, so that we can have the support that we need during those days specifically.
Right. That makes a lot of sense. It also reminds me of, like the postpartum period where we really should be home with our children.
Yes.
And we're not.
We're not because we believe that I'm strong and independent. I once heard a story of a woman who gave birth. The next day she was at the office.
Oh my gosh.
That is completely cutting off a feminine part of being you.
Right. Right. I know it's a lot because I went to work, relatively soon after having my kids, and you can just tell, like, you're supposed to be with your babies. Like, it's a natural instinct. Like, when they cry, you feel the cry, like, it's very natural, and everything that you're talking about related to the feminine and the masculine, it all goes back to that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So maybe you can give me an example, because I feel like this can happen. When can using your feminine energy be threatening to others? Like when people don't understand?
The feminine tends to manipulate. The masculine tends to control.
Oh, okay.
Out of fear, both out of fear. But these are the different coping mechanisms that we use. As the feminine, if you are in your feminine energy, you can start playing games to manipulate, to get your way. And unfortunately, there are some professional manipulators out there.
Yeah.
We cannot do anything about them. We can just accept them and pray that one day they figure out, what it is like to be a woman. But we cannot be concerning about others and what others think. Of course, in the workplace, there's a professional setting. So if you can show up as a professional, nowadays there are many companies who are embracing the feminine aspects in the workplace, like compassion, empathy, leadership instead of bossy.
Sure.
So it is up to you to be a professional in your feminine energy and to speak your truth without needing to compete for men. Men complain about women being aggressive when we haven't owned our voice, when we are not speaking from our own value and self-confidence. And self-confidence is actually sexy, it's beautiful, and it's magnetic.
Right. I know exactly what you're talking about. Through the years, as a female surgeon, there are not many other female surgeons that you'll interact with. And the people that have the confidence and the innate, just sense that they're doing a good job and that really work hard and know that they're meant to do what they're doing, what they're meant to do, and know that they're good at it, have such a different energy than the people who are always scared and feel as though they need to prove themselves. It's just like even the simple ways that you reply to an email, like, oh, thank you so much, I'd be happy to help, versus this is what you need to do, boss, like I'm the boss, do what I say. Like, it's just so different. And if you're coming from a place of knowing what you're doing, confident in yourself, and actually have true, goals to help others, then you don't have to be a boss. You don't have to be bossy. You don't have to be all of that negative energy.
Yeah, that's one of the things I don't like. So there's some words I choose not to embrace, like bossy lady.
Yeah.
Boss lady.
Right.
That is something that I definitely don't like, because who likes a boss?
Right.
Right. We look up to leaders. We look up to people who know how to speak, who have great communication skills, even if they don't know how to run a business.
Sure.
Because communication is the key to absolutely everything. And there is a way of communicating with your heart or a way of communicating with your head and being mean.
Sure. Totally. So let's kind of shift back into talking about the dating world. How do you feel, what are your thoughts on dating and relationships in general in today's world? Like how chaotic it can be.
It's extremely chaotic when we see dating as exhausting, overwhelming, tiring, especially with a lot of women working. We are too busy to date, yet we want to date.
Right.
So, there are some sacrifices that we do have to make, which are, do you want to focus on building your business right now or building your career? So maybe being with a partner is not the right time for you. But then we women, those who want to be mothers, also have
a ticking clock, right? There's a time bomb there, yeah.
Exactly. So there is some strategies that we can use to overcome that. However, people who are over 40, they are dealing with a lot of other challenges, right? Because then they want to date somebody who is in his 40s, but those men are usually wanting to date younger women.
Right.
So one of the problems that we have with that is feminine energy is our life force. It runs through everybody's bodies, men, women, children. So in children, of course, the life force is even greater. So, and then you have women who have that innocence, when we were in our 20s, very innocent, very easily to manipulate and all these things, right? So that is very feminine. But men who are older, they're not necessarily seeking someone for their age. They just want someone with whom they can feel that aliveness. Unfortunately, as we women get older, we start accumulating resentment. We start closing our hearts even more and more. And so when we are in our 40s or 50s, we're full of resentment.
Yeah.
So we don't have space for another man.
Right.
Who is going to play with our hearts, right? So we have to start decluttering our hearts, our wombs, our bodies. We have to start letting go of past hurts, because otherwise men will continue to choose the younger ones until, of course, they get tired of them, because then they start accumulating stuff, right?
Right.
But men only behave that way because they don't understand what it means to be a woman. Nobody will understand what it means to be a woman unless they have a woman's body.
Right.
Because our biology is different, the way we feel is different, the way we see the world is different. And some may say that we women are groomed to be this way or groomed to be that other way. Men can be groomed to be like women. Women can be groomed to be like men as well, So you can be groomed in whatever way. It doesn't matter. When you are an adult, you have to take responsibility for what is happening right now. Whatever happened in the past, it was out of your control.
Right.
So it's time to actually heal your relationship with your parents. Our relationship with our parents play a huge deal in our relationships and the people that we choose, because relationships are there to heal each other. We reflect onto our intimate partners the parts of us that we need to heal. So anytime there is a trigger, it's just a message. Hey, this is something you are denying within yourself and that you have to embrace. Maybe, in my case, I was denying my own anger. So I attracted a few partners who were angry and abusive, and immediately I let them go. But that was my moment to understand, why did I attract this person and why did I choose this person, right? And then I understood my own anger from childhood that I had to process and deal and digest.
How do you recommend someone deal with that trauma, like from relationships with parents? Like, is it a therapy? Is it, a specific ritual? Like, how do you usually guide somebody?
There are different ways to dealing with that trauma, and also depends on the kind of trauma and whether the parents are alive or not, and whether you want to have the parents around or not, because we have to have boundaries with our parents.
Sure.
Usually when we cannot have boundaries with our parents, we cannot set boundaries with our loved ones, right? So with our men, or, if you're a man and you're in a relationship, you cannot set boundaries either. So you have to come up with a plan and understand what is it that you need to heal. Finding a trauma therapist will be ideal, but again, it depends on the trauma, because we all have trauma in one way or another.
I feel like everybody does to some degree.
Absolutely everybody does.
Because nobody has a perfect childhood.
Nobody.
And no one has perfect relationships.
Absolutely. And I'm sure you are a great, amazing mom, and your children have already decided their belief system or created their belief system. Maybe one day you were on the computer and the child came over to show you something. You're like, no, right now, go to daddy. I'm working here.
Right.
In that moment, the child felt rejection. And we make stories because everything that happens around us as children is our fault.
Yeah.
And we are the problem.
It's so sad.
It is. But you can.
But it's reality.
It's reality. And as a mother, you can just teach your children, I love you and I'm here, I accept you, and do other things that you can do to help them overcome those issues so they don't become bigger issues,
Right.
But to help somebody who is in that trauma or haven't healed that, it takes... it can be multiple rituals, it can be multiple healers, it can be multiple coaches and therapists. It all depends on how willing you are to let go.
Right.
How ready are you to accept what happened and to face the fears.
So how would you guide someone who is starting dating, if they connect with someone? How can they know if that person is right for them or not? Is there something that you can tell right from the beginning, or do you recommend people give it more time? Like, what's your general recommendations for that?
Yeah, for that, we have a 3-date rule.
Okay. Interesting.
As a woman, it's different than if you're a man, right?
Okay.
Because as a woman, we have different needs and we're looking for different things than men are. So as a woman, if you're dating, I advise you to give the guy 3 shots. Go on 3 dates and let him observe. Take time to observe. When we are working so much and being in our masculine energy, we start to lead the conversation by asking 100 questions.
Right.
That's basically you showing up with an agenda.
Like I have today.
Yeah.
Right.
So if you ditch the agenda and just let him lead the dating, let him see what he can do. Because at the end of the day, we want a man who's strong and independent, right? If you want that, you have to test his leadership skills.
I love this advice.
So just observe how he reacts. How does he treat the waitress or the waiter, Is he rude to them? Is he flirtatious? Just observe how is he. And also take time to observe within. Because you may want to ask all of these questions. Oh my God, this is a great man on paper. He has all these qualities. Oh my God, he's the one. And he may be my soulmate. Coming from all those, from that scarcity space. So just take time to observe his behavior towards others and towards you, and observe your own behavior. Observe your feelings. Just breathe in deeply. We need to breathe in so deeply.
Everyone stop what you're doing and breathe.
Yeah. So when you take the time to really slow down, people will show you more of who they are. People will reveal themselves to you. And of course, you want to reveal yourself too.
Sure.
Because many times we're afraid of revealing this or that and trying to bend backwards and over, trying to, fit into his ideal woman.
Right.
It's not what he wants. It's what I want. As a woman, do you fit into the ideal man for me, the perfect man for me? It's not about what you want. I don't care about what you want. We'll see if what you want, I am, and we'll see if what I am, if what I want, you are. And then if you can take 3 dates to see how he behaves, to see if he reaches out, to see if he has any interest, and then you simply respond to that. And then you allow him the space that he needs to really come back to you or not. And if he doesn't come back, it's okay. You are not next date.
Right.
So abundance dating is very difficult for women. And that's another healing time that we have to take to really heal the abundance mindset around dating. Because as long as we're single, we can date multiple men. However, don't sleep with the guys.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Please get into this. Yeah.
Don't sleep with men too early. Right, Andrew?
Our producer agrees.
Yes. Don't sleep with men, because when you do, he loses interest. And there's a biological reason to that. Men lose testosterone every time they come. So if you want a man, test him or observe him to see if he's somebody who's just for the cookie or if he wants more. That's the easiest way. And also don't go, out and reject the guy, because who likes rejection? Don't reject him.
Right.
Well,
don't lead him on.
Don't lead him on. Don't send mixed signals.
Sure.
Don't be so flirtatious and don't tease him so much that he then is going to be mad that you are doing. This is manipulation.
Yes.
That's one way of manipulation,
Right.
So he will respect you when you're not playing games, when you're not teasing him in that way. There is a subtle way of teasing. You want to see if there is chemistry, of course.
Sure.
You don't want to be all held back either. However, there is a way of doing things. So don't sleep with a guy. Give it 3 months.
Okay.
And I know it's hard. I've been there.
No, but that's good advice. 3 dates, 3 months.
3 dates. If he passes that, then 3 months. And the reason why it's important that you give it 3 months is because people will usually reveal more of themselves.
Of course.
In those 3 months. You want to see how does he handle stress? How does he handle, being angry? How does he behave around maybe other people? You want to get to see more of him.
Sure.
So falling for somebody on 1 or 2 dates, sure, there's some lucky ones, but not everybody's that lucky.
Yeah. And I feel like, giving that time, you can also see, is he dating other women, talking to other women, or is he truly interested in just you?
Yes, and it's okay if he's dating other women, because as long as you're not in a committed relationship, you both can date anybody, But it's important. A man who's interested in you, he will tell you. He will show you. A man who's not interested, you won't hear from him. And if you feel that you need to reach out, that's another thing for us women. If you feel that you need to reach out to the guy, if you feel that maybe he's not coming to you energetically, you may be feeling the disconnection, and this may be triggering your rejection or abandonment wounds. So that is a good time for you to sit down, maybe dance, maybe breathe in and feel that wound.
Call Gabriela.
Call me as well.
Okay. So you talked about you can meet someone anywhere. Like, what is your advice on how to meet people? Like, I met my husband organically. Like, we met at a wedding through friends, like it just happened. It wasn't on a dating app or anything like that. Like, what's your best advice for women in today's society, how to meet people?
Yeah, I've met great people online on dating apps. The person that I'm seeing right now, I met him organically as well. So there are many, many ways of meeting. The important thing is, how is your energy and what is your intention? Many women do want to be in a relationship. However, they hate men.
Yeah.
So what is your intention if there is a conflict, right? So we need to explore those conflicts, or you need to sit down and really explore those conflicts. Because if you think that men are assholes, if you feel that men are horrible people, then why do you want to be in a relationship with one, right? But you're craving one. So it's important to clear that up. And then is openness, being visible. If you don't go out, if you are closing your heart, when you meet a man, you are on your phone or you have no interest in him, then you're going to repel men, Many times we're not interested in the guy, but somebody's talking to us. Just open up your heart to meet the person, to have a conversation with a man.
Right.
Because otherwise I have women coming to me. I don't have anybody approaching me yet. They are at the bar using their phone the whole time.
Right.
You're closing down that window so men cannot approach you. There are other ways that you can do if you are in a bar, if you are in a restaurant or somewhere and you meet somebody organically, is smile. Smiling is an invitation. Eye contact and smiling is an invitation for him to approach you. So if you can smile, and it doesn't have to be a crazy smile, because then you seem desperate, but just a subtle smile,
right.
Fun, nice, your heart opens up and he sees that and he wants to approach you.
I love that. Well, we're getting close on time. So is there any other advice that you would give someone who is looking to embrace their femininity or to get into a relationship? Like, what's some of your top pieces of advice?
It will be to learn polarity, to understand the feminine and masculine energies. There is a lot of information out there. Of course, contact me if you want to learn about it. There are other people who are unfortunately not doing it from a healed place. So there's more like projections and more wounds involved. So definitely, like anybody else, find out, read books, understand where your wounds are coming from, understand your triggers, breathe in deeply, and dance. Definitely dance and get naked in front of the mirror and notice your body.
I never have done that.
You have homework.
I mean, I look at naked bodies all the time.
I'm going to challenge you right now.
This is so great. So is Kundalini dancing, is that some derivative of this? Can you tell us quickly about that? Or Kundalini?
Yeah. Kundalini dance is a way of women moving their bodies, of feeling their bodies and just letting go. In this sacred container, we have women exploring all kinds of emotions, from anger to sadness to tears to looking hysterical. But we don't care because we are in a setting with other women. So we all understand what is happening. Mm-hmm. And there is a difference between Kundalini dance and Kundalini yoga.
Okay.
Yoga is primarily to prepare you to Shavasana, meaning meditation. So it's to get your body into alignment, into letting go of the world, and just go into deep breathing meditation so that you can access higher levels of consciousness. However, yoga is more of a masculine way of achieving that, because you have to do the postures and stay still and focus, exactly, versus dancing activates your Kundalini feminine energy, which is the creative energy that once it rises through your chakras, you awaken and you have access to consciousness and to a lot of delicious energy.
I love it. Thank you so much, Gabriela. This has been a really eye-opening conversation. I know that at least we've helped several women and men understand what's going on, between the feminine energy, the masculine energy, your tips on dating. And I'm going to dance naked. I'm not going to record that, but
no, don't. It's yours to keep.
No, totally. But please tell my listeners how they can find you.
Yeah, so right now, if you're a woman and you're interested in having a meditation, I have an activation for you. You can go to lovegoddessactivation.com. And if you want, listen to that recording for 21 days. It is a guided meditation with affirmations and activations to activate your feminine, beautiful energy.
And you're on Instagram.
I am on Instagram under Gabriela Chang, me.
Okay, I'm going to make sure that your information is in the podcast notes. So when you get done listening today, look at the notes and find Gabriela. She's an amazing resource. She's here in the Palm Beach area if you're local, but connect with her online. And again, thank you so much for coming on today.
Thank you, Kandace. I can't wait to see that transformation.
Yes, thank you.